Hey, we're live on a Wednesday. It's another SNL show.
Second SNL show of 2021. Welcome, everybody. Lane and I are super excited to be here and have those of you that are watching us live with us today.
That's exactly right. So today we are going to bring you part 2 of the Healthy Home Checkup List. Now, to get this list, it's obviously going to be in the description of this video. Also, we're going to have access to part 1 of the video too. So if you missed out last week on part 1, don't worry, we've got you covered. But let's dive into part 2, shall we, Scott?
Absolutely. Let's do it. We had a fun time last week doing part 1, which was 1 through 10. And it's a quick recap. This is a 20-point healthy home checkup list. And we've curated this from about 31 different sites that I went to over the holidays and just kind of came up with the top 20 that apply to most of our clients here in the Western U.S. and Orange County specifically. So here we go with number 11. We're in the bathroom area right now. And what we want to do is you want to check the little aerators in your bathroom faucets. Have you noticed perhaps that there's a little bit of a decrease in the flow coming out of your faucets? Sometimes it's very minute. Sometimes the flow is not quite as steady. Lane's nodding his head there. Yep. Well, there's a little cap right on the bottom of your faucet called an aerator. It's very easy to unscrew. Sometimes it can be a little tight over time if it hasn't been checked in a while. You might have to get a little crescent wrench to loosen that up. But it's a little cap just right underneath literally where the faucet is, and it unscrews. And inside of there is a teeny little mesh netting, and that collects little bits and pieces that come through our naturally kind of hard water here. They can be little grains of sand or little pebbles sometimes, actually. Hey, the easiest thing is you just kind of tap it on the counter, dump that out, wash the whole thing up. Sometimes maybe with a little, I like to soak everything in vinegar and water for like 20 minutes, and that will remove any hard water deposits on that. Don't mean to spend a lot of time on this, but it's a very easy fix. Definitely tip, which I don't believe we have in writing here, is soak it in vinegar, a 10% vinegar and water solution, because it'll definitely just take all the crud off of that, and you'll be amazed what that little glass is going to look like.
And I would say too, if you're already in the sink area, maybe check the stopper as well, especially if you're like me and you shave over the sink. Sometimes it can get backed up a little bit. So if you're checking the faucet aerator, check the stopper too, and just periodically clean it out so it doesn't get backed up and gunky.
Excellent call, and excellent point on that. All righty, moving on to number 12. This is back. We're going to be back in the refrigerator, the kitchen now area, and we're going to talk about vacuuming those refrigerator coils. Depending on the type of refrigerator you have, the coils will kind of be on the back. Sometimes they wrap around the bottom a little bit. What I love about this particular task is it makes me roll that refrigerator out and get the floor cleaned as well behind that. Even the cleanest house is going to pick up some dirt, debris, dust, pet hair, dander, etc., over the course of the year under that refrigerator. And we want to get that cleaned out, but you also want to be checking those coils, because if the debris builds up on those, some of our heating and air experts have told us that in extreme cases, that can cause a fire hazard, because you can get, again, a significant buildup on there. And because those coils are warm, you can create a fire hazard.
And
so
it's like, especially at home with me, because I do have a pet, a dog that sheds a lot.
Yeah.
So you'll be surprised when you get on your hands and knees how much hair in a short amount of time can get backed up in there. And then also I noticed, and the reason why I checked is my refrigerator actually felt a little bit warm. And it felt like it was a little bit hotter. So yes, just very easy task to do. You're already cleaning the floors. You're already, sweeping if you have hard surface floors. Why don't you just vacuum the refrigerator close as well?
And the whole thing is when you're doing that, just, use your attachment for the furniture or whatever that works for that. It's pretty easy breezy. And another kind of a bonus tip on this is if you happen to have a freestanding range, now's the time. Why not? You're on your hands and knees at the fridge. Get under that range, with a rag on a broom, a damp rag on a broomstick or something, and just kind of clean that part out. Okay, let's go on to number 13. We're still in the kitchen, so we're going to be cleaning out our garbage disposal. This is super, super easy to do, and it's just a matter of kind of getting in there. You want to turn it on, of course, with water running. Make sure you don't hear any kind of crazy clanking or banging noises and whatnot. The easiest way to clean out that garbage disposal is to simply throw a couple of cut lemons in there and some ice cubes. Run it around there until all of that stuff just gets eaten up. Your garbage disposal loves ice and it loves lemons.
I think too that you can put a little baking soda in there as well.
Good tip.
And that helps with sometimes it smells a little bit of an odor comes up, and that also helps with the smell.
I love that. The baking soda is a great neutralizer, and I have a book on how to clean everything anytime, and baking soda is like in the top 10. Another little bonus tip, when you're on the garbage disposal, check your aerator. That's that little round plasticky or silver colored domed cap that sits usually on your countertop, and that's the aerator for the dishwasher. That's a pipe that runs to the dishwasher, and that needs to be clean and clear, because when a dishwasher gets backed up, actually food will kind of come out of that. But what I found is you pull that cap off, and you're going to have the little housing for the aerator. It actually unscrews. It's plastic. Unscrew it. Again, I like to soak that in a vinegar and water solution, kind of clean all around it with a toothbrush, which is my magic cleaning tool. And you're good to go around the kitchen sink.
Excellent. Excellent. What's number 14?
14 now is kind of a whole house tour. What we like to suggest you do this time of year is walk around your entire house, kind of with your eyes up to the ceiling. Walk from room to room and take a look where the ceiling meets the walls, where your door frames, you got a door jamb, kind of the angled area from the door jamb up to the ceiling. You want to be looking for any hairline cracks. Sometimes over years, foundations can shift a little bit. You want to look for cracks. They can be a sign of something deeper and more troubling. Most of the time, a hairline crack will be simply settling, but it's a good time of year to check for that. And then what you're doing now is creating a baseline. Then come back in 6 months and check and see if any of the cracks have gotten worse. The other thing looking up is we want to be looking for any staining or discoloring of your ceilings, because that can be a sign that you've got some water leaking.
Yeah, in regard to the cracking, there's a couple different cracks to look for as well, right? So the ones that you talked about, like near like the door jambs and maybe the windows, but then also sometimes on the ceiling, it's just two pieces of drywall that are separating from each other as well. They might just be simple drywall cracks, which are more aesthetic than they are structural.
Absolutely.
I was also told by a builder that if they get to the point where it's a little bit larger than 1/8 of an inch, that's when it's concerning, and when to have double check and get a second opinion on it.
Fantastic for quantifying that, Lane. You're absolutely right. You'll get a feel for these cracks, and it's not to be alarmed, as Lane pointed out. If you see a crack and you can kind of gauge and it looks like it's along a drywall seam, you're going to know, because it's going to, if it does get worse, it's just going to kind of follow that exact straight line, and it's nothing to really be worried about. It's just a common thing that happens over time. These drywall, pieces of drywall, they're just they're nailed up, and then there's just a piece of tape that kind of covers the seam, and then that's just kind of mudded over. So over time, that can shift a little bit, and you'll see a crack.
Yeah.
But the main thing is on that, as we closing that up, the main thing is you want to be checking for moisture damage, because although we haven't had a lot of rain yet this year, when it's not raining is the time that you want to be addressing any possible water issues. Because let me tell you, when the rains start, our roofers get inundated, and they sometimes are weeks backed up. And people that have emergencies are in a sorry state. So preventative measures are the watchword now with regards to checking for leaks.
I love that. And I think that's the operative word for our entire list. It's just preventative. Everything we're doing are just little simple set tasks, mostly do it yourself, with simple tools around the home to make sure that you prevent bigger damages and bigger things from happening in the future.
Absolutely. You know what, as a quick note on that, Lane, is it's kind of like I was talking to one of my healthcare professionals the other day, and he said so many people are in what is called crisis management with their healthcare, and you want to be in preventative management with your healthcare. Be living a healthy lifestyle. The same thing with your house, as Lane mentioned. We want to be ahead of the game. You don't want to get into crisis management. That's when it's going to be costly. There's more damage. There's more inconvenience.
Absolutely. All right, now 15.
Moving on. This is an really easy one, and we don't really think about this, but it's just a matter of kind of checking the hardware in your house, tightening any loose door handles, knobs, and this can be everything from a kitchen cupboard handle to a bathroom drawer to a doorknob going into a bathroom. For some of our seniors who've been in their house a long time, you've got assistance with some grab bars, things like that. Toilet paper holders, anything that's got a screw or a bolt that goes into the wall in your house, it's kind of or into a door. It's kind of a good idea to just kind of check those, just take a little rattle, whatnot. Or I'm going to bet that in a lot of houses, you have a little nagging issue or two that has been going on. Now's the time to just go ahead and tighten that up. And of course, this is something that we have all of our clients do when they're preparing their homes to sell anyways, because you want everything to feel nice and tight and secure. But I did this in my house last week, and I actually found my toilet paper holder in one of the bathrooms just was kind of tipping a little bit, and it was just a matter of getting in there and tightening up that set screw.
So it's not only door handles and knobs, it's toilet paper holders as well, huh?
Absolutely. Yeah,
well, one other thing too, when you're checking those knobs and you're opening up those doors, let's say, for example, for me, I have soft close hinges. Yeah. But sometimes the soft close hinges maybe aren't working or operating anymore. But because you had soft close hinges before, if you watch a couple YouTube videos, you can get back to having soft close again. Maybe there was just a mechanism in the pull out that needs to be adjusted, and now all of a sudden you have soft close again. So definitely check the knobs and the cabinets and the doors to it looks like we lost Scott, but it's okay. He'll come back to make sure that your soft close hinges are working as well.
I'm back.
And he's
Sorry
back.
about that. I'm back. I'm back. All right. Well, we're halfway through our second half of our healthy home checkup list. We hope that you're enjoying this and getting some value out of it so far. And again, be sure to subscribe to our channel for more stuff like this. And if you have any comments or you have a tip to add, be sure to do that, because it's not the end all to be all 20. So getting on to 16, we're going to head outside the house now. And now is the time of year, again, with a healthy home checkup list, we want to kind of test that garage door opener. Well, you're going to think, well, I hit the button and it opens, or I hit the button in my car and it opens. I'm sure it's fine. Well, is the light burnt out on the garage door opener? How is the auto reverse doing? The auto reverse is that safety mechanism that if something gets in the way, from a tricycle to a small child, God forbid, the door is going to come down, hit that item, and bounce back up again. We know when we sell houses, it's one of those things that has to be done for safety. But when you're living in your home, you want to make sure that safety reverse works. And oftentimes the little sensors that line those up can just become misaligned and create an issue. So that's my feeling on this particular item, is double check that safety reverse. That's the big tip.
And typically the lifespan for these garage doors and these motors in general are between 20 and 25 years. So if you've been living in a home for, let's say, longer than 20 years and you still have your original garage door motors, chances are something in the near future might be happening. It happened to my brother recently, and he had to replace not only the motor, but the garage door in general. And it was an electrical issue too. So just be diligent. Like Scott said, check all the mechanisms, get ahead of it. Because if you're able to do something maybe on an electrical standpoint to fix it now, maybe it saves you hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars, from changing out the motor and the garage door altogether.
Lane's got a great point again. Everything's preventative maintenance to spend a little bit of money now to save a whole bunch of money later on. Or I've even had someone whose garage, they had the old-fashioned garage door still on the springs. Their garage door opener failed, and the garage door actually crashed down on the trunk of their car, and that cost not only money for the garage door opener, but they had a giant repair bill for the car.
Or some garages have those safety release keys, that you put into the door if they don't have, let's say it's electrical only, and so I've heard of keys getting stuck in there because they haven't been turning or lubricating the keyholes either. So after a while, when they're checking it, now they can't turn the key and the key gets jammed in there and it gets stuck. So maybe just kind of make sure your safety key works if you have one of those in your garage as well.
Very, very smart. Absolutely. Now we're kind of transitioning outside with the garage door opener. So now I want you to stroll around the outside of the home. You're probably outside the house on a regular basis anyway, but how often do you really look it over with a fine-tooth comb? You want to be checking out any outbuildings, any storage sheds. Look for problems with the foundation. Check around your house. If you do have a raised foundation, look at those, the vents that provide air to get to the foundation. Make sure that there aren't any breaks in those vents. Make sure that you don't have any gaps where critters could be getting under the house. I'm dealing with a very bad rodent problem right now, for example, in my house, which does have a raised foundation. I have thought I'd sealed and sealed and sealed everything. Well, we found one spot about this big around that rats have been squeezing into, and now we're spending hundreds of dollars for abatement. It's not fun. So I'm just going to suggest checking around. Again, most people have slab foundations. Lane, you've got something to add there?
No, I mean, that's all it takes is one small hole. For me, again, check the side of your home. So I have smooth stucco, and it very easily cracks. But again, stucco is more of an aesthetic thing. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's something wrong with the structure of your home. Think about that 1/8 of an inch again. If you do see a crack a little bit larger than an eighth of an inch, then maybe you want to call a professional to come take a look. But if you're just seeing normal hairline cracks, hopefully that's just normal. Also, because we are coming up to more of the rainy season, I guess, April showers bring May flowers, make sure that everything's properly draining. It's okay to run a hose and see if everything's draining out properly, and just get ahead of it too, because you don't want a big rainy season to have water come to the side of your home and maybe penetrate the house. And Scott's chicken. So we can go on to number 18. Okay, check for torn or damaged window screens. This is one that's very easy to do too because it helps prevent critters from coming in the home, and it's also very inexpensive to do. So if you're handy, you can probably change the screen out of your windows very easily. If not, it's inexpensive. It's between $25 and $30 per screen. So if you have holes in your screen now and you're looking for somebody to fix it, we have a window guy who's absolutely perfect to get this done for you, but for a nominal price, but like I said, between $25 and $30 a screen. But again, get ahead of the season, make sure that you're doing everything preventative to avoid not only water from penetrating the home, but also the bugs and critters.
Absolutely, because once the weather does warm up, or even here in coastal Orange County, I mean, I keep a couple windows open at night when I'm sleeping. You don't want anything that is any uninvited guests coming into the house. So sorry about that. I need a little sip of water to clear my throat there. So
hey, you've been talking for 15 minutes straight. It's okay to have a sip of water.
You know, I figure if it's good enough for the folks on network TV and Oprah to have their branded cup of coffee sitting right there, I can take a sip of water now.
You need a Sackin-Stone team branded cup.
We do. I like it. Maybe we can. We'll sit when we get back in studio together, Lane. We'll be sitting with our matching mugs.
There you go.
I like it.
All right. What's number 19?
Number 19. Again, we're outside now, and so what I want you to be doing is checking your fences and walls. Now, you're either going to, I'm going to say 95% of the people that we work with have either grape stake wood fences, some type of wood fence, or block wall fences. A very few people might have chain link fences, but for the most part, it's going to be wooden block, or even if it's chain link, you just want to be checking the integrity of these fences. I can't tell you how many times we go to list a house and the back fence will be falling down, or part of the side fence will be falling down, and the customer, the client, the homeowner doesn't even know of it. They're not aware of it. And most often what's caused this is the vegetation has taken over and just undermined the integrity of the fencing material. So take a walk around the perimeter of your house, check to see if there's any vegetation that's starting to get out of hand. It's very easy to tame that with a good pair of clippers or a quick call to a gardener. And again, we've got tons of great referrals for you. Your block walls, you want to be checking to see, are there any cracks in the mortar? We often will see these kind of stair-step cracks start to form. They can be small, but again, with moisture and so forth over time, that'll lead to worse things, and your walls can actually separate. Excuse my hand, I have a little broken bone, but nothing big deal. So again, just be checking, and it's not so much that you have to be in the know on how to fix it, but you'll see if there's something that's wrong with your fences. And it's you also want to be checking the foundational posts for your wooden fences as well, because oftentimes if those are leaning, you can just change out a post and get a lot more lifespan out of the fence itself.
It's exceptionally important too if you live on a hill, because you have retaining walls, and retaining walls are very important. So if you see a retaining wall that's leaning whatsoever, that is something to address right away.
Absolutely. I didn't even have that on the list. And that is so true. If you are on a slope, the retaining walls, you want to make sure they're doing their job and retaining and not losing their integrity and starting to allow the hill to slip down. So again, that's not a real sexy item. It's not going to affect the structure of your house, but it does affect the integrity of your property. And we have to remember that the value of your property is in the land and the structure itself. So
is there a material that you prefer as far as fencing? Like, would it be vinyl, wood, concrete? Is there something that you like or would prefer? I know there's different aesthetic appeals. If you go with the vinyl, for example, it helps with termites, prevents termites.
Yeah.
Obviously with red wood or something like that, it's very waterproof. And then concrete, it'll last forever, but it might not be aesthetically pleasing to the eye as it would for vinyl or wood. But I'm just curious, like, if you have one that you like in particular.
You know what? I have such an opinion on everything aesthetic, as you know, Lane. So that's a loaded question that you probably intentionally gave me. And quick sidestep. I did mention vinyl, but a lot of folks are going with vinyl fences. It is the most expensive option by far. I think it's probably the least attractive, personally. A nice little vinyl picket fence out front's one thing, but the vinyl walls, I look at one across the street for me, and I personally don't like it. So I might get some backlash on this. I don't know. So obviously, that's on the lower part of my list. I'm an organic kind of a guy, and so I would say my favorite type of fence would probably be one made out of a good, sturdy hardwood that's going to weather naturally, that I don't have to worry about painting or staining, and that's going to lean me towards redwood. If I had an unlimited budget, I would probably go with an Ipe, which is an amazing South American hardwood, which I'm fortunate enough to have for one of my decks, and that is amazing. So I would say hardwood would be my first choice, and my first choice would be to have it designed by a landscape architect or designer if the budget was unlimited, because they can do some crazy things with variations of the boards, horizontal, vertical, etc.
I've seen people even take like flame torches and burn like into the wood a little bit just to give it a different aesthetic feel. There's so many things that you can do.
There's so many things you can do, and you're right. And we are even seeing now the trend, especially in a lot of the new properties that we're seeing. It is a horizontal kind of a look, often with a little bit of metal trim here and there, and so forth. So there's. Thanks for asking me, Lane. I mean, we can go off on a tangent with again.
Of course we can, and I did it on purpose because I wanted to leave the viewers on a little bit of a cliffhanger for number 20. So let's just get to the last one of part 2, number 20. And before we do, I just want to remind everybody, anything that we're talking about right now will be in the description of this video, as well as part 1, which has the first 10 healthy home checkup list items.
Absolutely. And we've had so much fun putting this together. Again, we're getting down to 20, but we've had a lot of fun putting this together. But again, it's with a serious and practical thought that we did this as well, because our goal is to make it fun, make it simple, make it easy to get that annual checkup done around your house and just feel really, really comfortable moving ahead. So Lane, why don't you go ahead and hit us with number 20? It's not a real sexy one. It's kind of boring, but...
So you're going to give me that one, no problem. Consider servicing your AC unit now when demand for these types of services is lower. So right now we're probably using our furnace for heat more so than we are our AC units. So that means that your AC unit is not in operation, and a lot of the HVAC guys are maybe not maintaining or going on AC calls as much right now. So that'll probably be the operative time, the perfect time, I should say, to service that AC unit.
And it's a great thing, Lane. I didn't even realize until we started having some home inspections on some of our older homes where the Freon levels were low, the air wasn't pumping out. The home inspectors have a certain tool that even tests inside the house to measure the volume of cool air coming out. Very kind of scientific over my head, of course. But I didn't realize that just like everything else that's mechanical, an air conditioning unit does need to be serviced. And sometimes these homes have gone 10 to 20 years with having nothing done to them. And again, we're looking at costly repairs and sometimes replacement, where I'm guessing, every 5 years or so is not a bad idea to have an air conditioning service. And again, I would say it's also based on frequency of use. If you don't use it very much, probably not so much.
Yeah, and one thing that I do too, it was pretty inexpensive, but I saw our home inspectors do this, so I kind of followed suit. I have one of those lasers that'll tell you what the temperature is coming out of the vents. So you shoot the air intake to see what the temperature of the air going in would be, and then you shoot the vents to see what the air coming out is. And if for AC purposes, you want to see at least a 16 to 20 plus degree drop in temperature to know that your AC is functioning properly.
Well, as always, Lane, we're such a great compliment to each other, because you just articulated what I was kind of alluding to when I say he's running around with fancy tools and measuring stuff. So there you go. It's quantified. Lane's demystified that part of it as well. And I love that. And, as we wrap up, once again, we just want to summarize and say we hope you've enjoyed these. If you've got any things that you would like to add that you find practical, we would love for you to share those with us so we can share them with everybody else. And again, reiterating, we're so fortunate to have a great service provider network that we get calls almost every day from past clients, and we've got a short list, but a great list in just about every area that you might need. And the buck stops with us. We give you a referral. If you're not happy, you let us know and we'll fix it.
Absolutely. And may I plug next week's show too, because I'm really excited about next week's show. I think it's going to be a big one and provide a lot of value for a lot of people.
We've got to plug it because it's going to be huge. We're already getting some buzz on it.
Yeah. So we have a special guest, an estate planning attorney, joining us next week to talk about Prop 19. There are so many questions. I'm talking thousands of questions associated around Prop 19, and we're going to make sure that we can address all of them. There's still so many things that are unknown at this point, so we're not going to have all of the answers, but we're going to have everything that we know up to this point and have the nuts and bolts handy for you. So bring all of your Prop 19 questions next Wednesday at 11 a.m.
Absolutely. Please mark your calendar. We're super excited to have our special guest who's a pro in this area, and it's going to be a very, very informative show.
All right. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for next week.
Stay tuned. We'll see you next week. Thanks again.